Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about why Angry Joe is wrong about Supergirl. His takes drawing controversy from his own fans. And make no mistake, he is wrong here in his assessments. That no film ever can be faulted in its poor production values due to wokeness. To his credit, he is looking at the end result and admitting that yes, the film fails in terms of its storytelling, bland visuals, poor directing, poor script, and an utterly derivative character, but fails to consider that wokeness has a habit of causing all of those things. Wokeness has a habit of causing bad storytelling. Wokeness has a habit of producing bland visuals. Wokeness has a habit of causing poor directing. Wokeness has a habit of producing poor scripts. And wokeness, at the end of the day, has a habit of producing derivative characters. Now, is wokeness the one and only thing that can cause all of these issues? No. However, when you're going to argue that it is impossible and utterly inconceivable for wokeness to cause all of these kinds of issues, when wokeness has had a history of doing exactly that many times over the past decade, then at that point you're just simply ignoring reason and historical precedent. But let's now evaluate just how exactly wokeness does cause all of these things. How wokeness does result in bad story writing, bland visuals, poor directing, poor script, and derivative characters. The first thing to mention is the subject of terrible hiring practices. When the ideology behind wokeness results in hiring people based entirely on the color of their skin, or the genitalia of their pants, or who they choose to bang, instead of their actual merits, as writers, as artists, as directors, well, the end result is that you're inevitably going to get a lot of people that are less than competent at the job. Doubly so when those same hiring practices make those people immune for a time from being replaced, because the discriminatory and Jim Crow-esque system that is wokeness has decreed that they are Ubermensch because they're black, or they're gay, or they're women. Or heaven help you, a combination of the three. But above all, the individuals that get hired must have the correct politics. Heaven help you if you happen to disagree with the politics but happen to be a member of one of the chosen races of wokeness. Because that's how we end up with woke activists telling Jewish people to, quote, get back in the oven, or telling American Indians to, quote, go back to the reservation, or make the hard R trend on Twitter because a Supreme Court justice who happens to be black made a decision that the woke activists do not like. But that also moves me on to the second reason with which wokeness actually makes everything worse. Something that does get overlooked every now and then, but nevertheless absolutely needs to be brought up. See, wokeness also causes its followers to prioritize politics above everything else. After all, everything is political, and not having an opinion means supporting the status quo. Therefore, you must have an opinion on everything at all times, and the media you produce must reflect that. This results even in people who previously have been competent to demonstrate significantly less of their competence in the end result once wokeness gets involved and they start adhering to the ideology. If everything is political, then storytelling and visuals must be secondary to the politics, lest you earn the ire of your own activist supporters. This inevitably leads to derivative characters as well, because you do not have the freedom to choose whatever kind of story you want. It has to be a politically acceptable story, pushing the correct message at all times. And even ignoring that, the sheer fact that more effort has to be invested in making sure a piece of media has the correct politics and cannot be misconstrued as having the wrong politics inevitably takes away from manpower and resources that could have been spent on bettering the storytelling or the visuals or the directing. Even if you wanted to argue that there are cases where a woke product or a woke piece of media was still good, there is no suggestion to argue that wokeness has ever made something better. And indeed, all of the evidence suggests at the end of the day that wokeness produces an inferior product to what might have been. Even if you want to argue that Baldur's Gate 3 was a good game, it would have objectively been a superior game without the woke elements, which definitively hindered the third act of the game. It's just that in the case of Baldur's Gate 3, the original bar was set so high that wokeness wokeness, while it still lowered the bar, was not able to lower the bar enough to be comparable to other woke slop that has infested the industry of entertainment these days. Baldur's Gate 3 was not good because of wokeness, but despite of it, and it would have objectively been better without it. But going back to Supergirl here, like I said, at the end of the day, this is a problem that has afflicted the entertainment industry for over a decade. Supergirl, as a film, exhibits all of the problems that have been caused in the past by wokeness. Poor storytelling, bland visuals, poor directing, poor script, and derivative characters. So to say that it is impossible for a piece of media to have failed because of wokeness, when it exhibits faults that wokeness has been known to cause, is simply ludicrous. It is fundamentally in opposition of reason and is, at the end of the day, anti-intellectual. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, all of this effort by Angry Joe is to simply attempt to smear the people he politically disagrees with, and to distance himself from them. He knows he's wrong on this, people have pointed out why he is wrong on this, and he just does not care.